for a lot of reasons, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles heading to Minnesota in a rematch of the NFC Championship game from 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams have different quarterbacks, which is hilarious and how it shows how the NFL changes so quickly from two successful franchises to have different quarterbacks from title games. Pretty interesting. But yeah, Paul, what's your lean in the Carson Wentz versus Kirk Cousins showdown this week and from Bank of America Stadium in Minneapolis?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. I think it'll be close at the end of the day, but I think that Minnesota's going to have the upset over Philadelphia. I think that this is the week that Kirk Cousins really starts throwing the ball at full efficiency to his two of the top few receivers in the league. I mean, Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. I've talked about them every week. Their rushing game, I think they'll be all right. I think they'll try to establish it early and then lean on the pass a bit near the end of the game, which never hurts a team. But I have Minnesota winning by under a field goal, I think. I think it's going to be a super tight game.
Really?
I mean, Philadelphia is a good team. I'll give them credit. Minnesota's also a decent team. But, I mean, you got to pick an upset here and there, and this is the one I'm taking. So I'm going to run with Minnesota on this one.
This is going to actually come up later in the bet of the week. I'm not going to say which way one of us is leaning and who picked it for our bet of the week. But for me, I think the Eagles are winning this game, no problem. This is a horrendous matchup for the Minnesota Vikings. We talked earlier about how terrible matchup were for the Browns, the Seahawks were with their run defense. Well, Mike Zimmer doesn't actually want to throw the ball ever, and this week he's going against the number one rushing defense in the NFL. So that's a huge issue if you are Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook in that offense where you want to throw the ball, but Kirk Cousins really has shown throughout his career, we know who he is. He's a guy who can really only throw off the play action when the defense can't just sit back there and expect him to throw. That's when he struggles. It's when he gets exposed. It's what we see every time that this team plays a high-level opponent because they've stopped the run. And the Eagles just appear on the surface to be poised to do that. I mean, the defensive line for the Eagles seems like a huge mismatch for this Vikings offensive line, which has been questionable a lot of the year against their better teams they've played against. They've really struggled against the Packers and Bears. So I'm leaning Eagles in this game because I don't see a way the Vikings are going to be able to run the ball. And the Vikings not being able to run the ball, even with the Eagles' highly questionable secondary, gives them such a huge advantage that I think they're going to draw up some really interesting blitzes off those second and third and longs and get Kirk Cousins to make some mistakes. And especially now that the Eagles' offense is starting to get healthy, we saw for 2 or 3 weeks there, they were just destroyed by injuries. Playing a game last week like they did against the Jets where they didn't have to put in too much effort, it allows a guy like Alshon to get that much more healthy for a big game like this. Because with the Cowboys are going to win this week against the Jets. We're not going to cover that game, and they're going to go to 4-2. So this is a huge game for the Eagles to keep pace with the Cowboys in that division. Paul, we were in a heated debate about this game.
Yeah.
Before we started recording. You're all in on the Vikings in this game. Tell everybody why you're an idiot and think the Vikings are going to win this game.
I wouldn't say I'm an idiot. I mean, I don't believe in the Philadelphia Eagles as much as you do, I think. I don't think Carson Wentz is quite as good as... I mean, the eye test is a big thing for me when it comes to quarterbacks. I remember Kirk Cousins in Washington. I didn't like him, but he was putting up decent numbers and he looked all right. I think he can come back to that form. Carson Wentz, before his ACL, he was really good. I'll give him that.
He's been amazing this year.
I don't think I've seen the same quarterback this year. So I like it when he takes off a little bit. He shows his mobility that he obviously used to have. Kind of a question mark for me now. Not actually, but no, I think that the playmakers on Minnesota are better than the ones on Philadelphia, and sometimes your playmakers are going to win you games, and I think this could be one of those games. So That's what I'm taking Minnesota. Kind of a gut feeling.
PFF's number one quarterback has been really good this year, but who am I, right?
Yeah, but they also had Brady over Mahomes. So are you even gonna think that's like a serious way of judging quarterbacks? No.
Hey, one guy's undefeated. That's all I know.
I mean, like look at their schedule. They're playing the New York Giants.
Hey, all you can do is beat who's in front of you. That's, you can't control who those guys are playing. You just go every week and beat the guys you're playing against. It's not your fault. It's not Tom's fault.